How's it guys, Munash here, and today we have some Act 7 Chapter 2 gameplay, which means I'm not going to be doing a legend run for this. I figured once is enough. Maybe I'll do another one when I go for Mythic one day when I actually do have all the champs I need. So I'm going to take my time to complete 7.2, although not too long. I'll probably get it done in the next few weeks. But yeah, I might just make more videos on each individual path or boss fights like what I used to do back in the day for 6.4 and 6.3. Because I really enjoyed that content, and I think a lot of that has to do with the way I approached it. Then there's also the difficulty or the challenge of it. Like I feel like when I was doing 6.4 or 6.3 it was harder than my experience with 7.1, and I'm not sure if that's just because I had a much stronger roster when I was doing 7.1, because I do feel like it's objectively easier than 6.4. So I was kind of hoping that 7.2 would be a little bit more challenging, and I'm not sure if it is so far, because this is my very first time actually looking at a 7.2 fight. I'm in CCP, but I never actually touched the 7.2 beta. I haven't seen any gameplay whatsoever on YouTube or anything, so yeah, I started this map with no prior knowledge of this content. I just scouted first to see the nodes on each path and the boss, or rather bosses, and then I picked my team for the path that I took, which is the path with bullet time, ebb and flow knockdown, and bleed vulnerability. So this is a relatively easy path, although I can't really say it's the easiest because I haven't actually looked at all the paths yet. I only looked at 2. The nodes themselves aren't too specific, although using a champ with good bleed damage, or rather consistent bleed, easy to apply bleed, would be very helpful for the bleed vulnerability. Then there's ebb and flow knockdown, so you just have to knock them down to get the passive fury and remove the protection. It's quite interesting seeing this node outside Alliance War because that's where I'm very used to it. And then there's bullet time, which is a relatively new node, but if you fought the Spider-Man boss in Cavalier or Uncollected difficulty in this month's event quest, then you should be familiar with it. Whenever you parry, they get an evade charge with a 100% chance to evade. Then when you dex, they all get removed, and the defender gets passively stunned for 1.5 seconds for each charge. So this is quite fun if you enjoy reparry, but basically you just gotta parry a couple of times, then they get passively stunned when you dex. Then you can drop some combos safely without worrying about them evading. Otherwise you can just not parry and they won't get the evade charge. But if you're fighting evaders without an evade counter, then you would rather parry, just so you can safely drop combos while they're stunned. So I used Nick Fury for the majority of the fights on this path. He gets them done pretty quickly, especially in the second phase. I also tried Weapon X against Yellowjacket, but I made a mistake where I actually forgot that Ebb and Flow Knockdown purifies all debuffs when the protection comes back. And Weapon X is all about refreshing those bleed debuffs with the heavier attack, but if they get purified, obviously I can't do that. So this fight took a lot longer than I anticipated, and sadly I did not use Weapon X again on this path. Then I also brought Warlock just for some variety, since he also has bleed on his heavy attack, and he worked quite well against Thor Ragnarok. I just used him on that fight because he has some power control to make it easier. Then Nick Fury creamed the rest of the fights because eventually I lost my decoy, and then the last few fights went down really quickly, which is why I played very casually against Spider-Gwen. I wasn't too concerned about getting hit because I still had the real Nick Fury to unleash. And then finally there's the Magneto boss, who I used Human Torch for, and he was kind of fun actually. He does have unblockable specials and spite and power buildup and some other weird node, but I actually enjoyed that fight. So he has this node called Moth to Flame, which is similar to, I think it's Thermostat. But basically the way it works is you gain a fever charge, this orange looking passive, whenever you land a basic attack, so medium, light and heavy, and whenever you use a special attack it will convert up to 10 charges into furies, each increasing your attack by 10% for 10 seconds. But the thing is, if you get to 0 charges, then you'll take some degen damage, which is equal to 50% of his attack, and his attack is about 13,700. So yeah, any good Magneto counter should work, who doesn't rely on throwing specials very frequently, and also doesn't rely on buffs because they're spite. Unless you can power control, then you should be fine. And he also has unblockable special attacks, so if you're not good at dexing those, then again power control can be quite handy. Quake might work if the Moth to Flame node doesn't screw her over, because those charges do fall off over time if you're far away from the defender. So I'm not sure if her concussion can also take care of that. The main reason I brought her is just for the evade synergy with Nick Fury. I never actually planned on using her because these health pools are just so large that without suicide it's gonna take me a while to quake all these fights, and without the 6-star bonus as well, I'll feel like I'm just wasting time because I do have better options. So that's going to be it from me. I'm not going to talk too much in these videos. They are mostly going to focus on the gameplay so I can get them out faster. And MCOC Noob will probably be making more detailed guides as he usually does. And I'll probably be sharing some info with him on some best counters for certain fights or paths. But yeah, that's going to be it from me. Hope you guys found this interesting, but as always, thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.